welcome back to Project Prototech. Alright, so in the last episode, we went ahead and we built this lovely flight deck. So far on screen, I have built this giant hangar door and the flight deck. And now, it's time to go ahead and take a look at what I did off screen, and then start talking about thrusters. So, starting with what I did off screen. Alright, so first things first, if I come on down here, we end up on that flight deck that we built. I've done a little bit of work on this, getting the refill stations and cargo terminals hooked up. What you see on this side is I think what I'm actually going to go with, where I've got a T-junction here rather than coming straight up, and that's for internal reasons. Coming on in here, so I have this neon strip to go ahead and make it really, really obvious where the edges of the flight deck are, because as you can see, without a lot of lights coming out here, we can see that and we know what we need to aim for rather than missing and hitting our armor over here. I like that effect, and I decided to continue that when we come into the hangar. So we've got the strip down the center of the neon lights, and I also went ahead and I put this full strip around both the front edge and the rear edge for the little hangar tunnel that we've got going on here. This will give us plenty of space to go ahead and enter and exit. I did debate some about changing this side out for another set of gates so we could effectively get a airlock going, but I would rather depressurize this whole space when we are getting ready to fly out here. Other than that, on the interior, you can see that I have gone ahead and filled out everything in here. So we now have the welder tunnel over here. It is all piped up, so I could go ahead and use it. And it's 7 wide, and I made it 3 deep, so that way I can go ahead and push through a little bit faster, unlike with my earlier Fortress Mars builds, which only had the single strip, which meant that I had to kind of fiddle around in there for a little bit. Next up, I went ahead and I put these windows here, so that way we can see what's going on from this side, and up here we've got some windows here, so you can kind of supervise the production process as it goes. And then there is a button both here and up there, I'll show you the one up there in a little bit, that will go ahead and turn on the welders as well as the warning lights. Now, I can come on over here and press up as much as I want to against this glass, and I will not get hurt. There is enough room that I will not weld myself as long as I stay on this side of the glass, or as long as I stay on this side of the caution strips. And then, of course, I can come back on over here, flick it again, and ta-da, we are all good. Now, the next thing that you may note is with the windows, I went ahead and I used the grated windows over here, because I have 3 air vents located right up here, all piped up, nice and neat. And if I were to go ahead and seal this area, those air vents would now pressurize it. Yay! I haven't sealed this area yet. There's still a little bit too much work to do. But, I've got it in place. Coming on over here, we can then come up into our flying bridge area. And you can see that back here I have gone ahead and filled in this space a good bit. So I've got, of course, my cycle welder tunnel, which does the exact same thing as that button down there. And I will also go ahead and probably go ahead and hook up an action relay, so that way I can do it remotely by just sending a message. Next, I can come on back here, and directly above the welder tunnel, because the welding pads or welders have connections on two sides and the top. Might as well make use of them, so this is going to be where the farm is located. I have increased the farm size from what I have in the blunderbuss, so I now have 36 tiles here. And this area does actually, or is actually airtight if I go ahead and I close the doors. I'm not going to though because I don't want to waste oxygen and ice at the moment. But then I also have my carger and my food processor back here, so that way I can access whatever I need to go ahead and do my farming. Finally, the last thing that I ended up doing over here is on one side so far, not the other, I have created a flight deck passage. So you can come on back here. This is not fully set up yet, but we have access to the internal hangar here. Come down the stairs, and then here's the rear flight deck airlock, where we can come on in. I found these signs. One of my mods, I don't remember exactly which one, it included these little LCD images, and I thought that was just super appropriate for airlocks. So you come in, only you can prevent clone loss, close doors. You know, to help enforce that, the outer door is open. I can't open that one. Oh no, what do I do? If I close this, now I can open it. And now this one won't open. I have event controls triggered for some of these so far, where it just goes ahead and says if this is open, this one is off, and vice versa. Continuing on down, you can see that all through this I have cargo access and refill stations, which I'll just make quick use of right here, to go ahead and go all the way on down. And then we get to the forward, and then right now I've got a set of doors here, which currently are open, that are just leading out in here, because I'm not sure what I'm doing over here yet. But if I were to close those doors, figure out what I am doing with, this, I guess, this is going to be a stairwell of some sort. I just need to figure out exactly how I'm getting in and out and that sort of stuff. But that's how we're going to be able to get up to here and down into this area. And then I'm probably going to go ahead and come on down and put like a CIC back here somewhere. Alright, so that is what I did off screen. Well, most of it. The other thing that I did is I put cargo containers all over the place here in preparation for my turrets. And then the wall. Alright, so it's time to start talking thrusters. Now, if I come on over here, you can see I did go ahead and I had put some forward thrusters in. I put these in the last episode, so that way the ship can slow down. However, if I just went and spammed a bunch of these on that back wall, with the stupendous size of it, it would not be that interesting. So instead I want to do something different. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to build this out so that way I have, well, decorative thrusters. What do I mean by that? Well, if I come on back here, you can see I was doing a little bit of experimenting. So a normal thruster, ion thruster, because I'm using basically just ions for this ship, has this basically 2x3 space that it takes up. I don't mind that, but if I want that to make it seem bigger, I can go ahead and I can use these decorative thrusters like this, or like this one. And what these are is basically just shapes. I made them, the outside using the weldless armor, but you can make it with whatever armor type you want. And then you can see back here that what I've done is I have used a light. So this is just a normal inset light. I could use basically whatever I want. Put the inset ones, make it nice and easy. And then I have armor plate here. But if I just use normal armor plates and no special tricks, then the light just, okay, it doesn't really show. But when I come on in here and hide from the sun a little bit, I can come in here to these settings. You can see, change the colors, change the radius, change the intensity. Can I make this any higher? Nope, 10 is the highest it goes. But the important part here is I change the offset. So the offset normally is going to go ahead and be 0.5. So if I keep this 0.5 offset, and then I come on out here, well, it's kind of lit up, but it's not really the effect that we want. But by changing the offset of this, I push where the light is generated from basically being right here to now, if I change that offset to, you can kind of see that light moving across. 3, 3.5, 4. How high can I go? I can make it go up to 5. And then when I come on out here, you can see, hey, that kind of looks almost like a thruster now. And I can change the lights. I can, down here, I did the same thing, but instead of using one light, I now have 5 of them laid out. And that's pushing the light out here. These are all an offset of 3. I can push them out a little bit further. So if I come here and I change the offset here to be this, now I can do copy, paste, 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 and now we've pushed that light out, and now it seems more like there's a thruster of some sort here. And I can go ahead and I can change the shape of the thrusters. So right now this one is just kind of a circle, but if I want like a big oval or I want something else, I can go ahead and do these little decorative thrusters to make it seem like there's much bigger engines on this ship. I will still probably go ahead and put a couple normal thrusters on the outside, but this means that rather than having, and I'm just hiding from the sun here, having these, repetitive thrusters on the outside, I will go ahead and do more interesting decorative thrusters, and then this space will have my actual thrusters. And I can go ahead and just use the interior thruster arrangements where I just fill things out, and then if I, for instance, come here to a large thruster and I use build vision, you can see here, as long as I don't put anything in that thruster damage cone, I can do things like slap some up and down thrusters all over the place, left, right, front, back, and as long as they don't touch anything in that damage cone, then I have every direction of thrust that I need without having that repetitiveness outside. Additionally, by putting the massive internal thruster arrangement in here, that fills in some of this internal space, which otherwise is possibly a little much. Nah, I totally didn't go overboard building this thing. Nope, not at all. So, let's pop on in here, and since right now only the blunderbuss is actually mobile, you can just pop on into this one, and oh, that's actually a nice view of that. I have to remember that. Alright, now let's go ahead and move the ship away from the asteroid some. And then I also want to rotate someday. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Uh, I will remind you that the blunderbuss was originally designed to be able to get off planet with about 10 million kilograms, and now I'm over 30 million kilograms with it attached to the Thanatos there. So, yeah, the carrier might be a little on the large side. Just maybe. Maybe. Alright. Stop spinning. Stop spinning. There we go. Alright. Now that I can hide from the sun like a proper vampire, let us come on back out here and start talking thrusters. Well, decorative ones. So, these thrusters here are basically, I need to have kind of this as the bare minimum for this size. So this would be the smallest thruster that I can stick back here. But I could go ahead, let me turn this off. There we go. And I will just keep with the weldless for the moment. And do something more along the lines of this. If I do 1, 2, 3, 4. So I could do something that's really big like this. Yeah, let's go ahead and kind of finish this shape out. Alright. And now let's make this a circle. Wrong one. Okay, so I could do like a really big thruster like this. And then go ahead and use inset lights. And how would that look? Here, if I've got 1, 2, I could do like say one of these on each side, and then one moment, let me eat my spaghetti. You know, I kind of like the blue light a little bit more, so let's go ahead and just copy this setting. Do I want to? You know what? Let's change this out for say 50, and then this out for 50, and then let's change the fall off to. Nope, nope, not respawn. Come on. 2. Don't want any blinking. And I could also go ahead and stick all these thruster lights on an event controller. So that way, and just tie it to one of the forward thrusters, so the lights only come on when I'm actually thrusting forward. So I'll probably do that later. Alright, so if I do that, and then I come in here, I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That does not sound right. But, yeah, so now, let's go ahead and add another couple. And then I can just kind of fill in this space. And then, now that I've done that, I can go ahead fill that out. And now I want to finish filling out that exterior space. Alright, is that... Nope. Got one more there. And then...
Meteor storm inbound.
Alright, and now we want to, you can see as I turn the lights off, it now looks kind of like a giant thruster. So I want to cover this and basically have a half block in each of these spots. And then if I come here, Okay, and now it looks like I have a giant thruster back here. And especially when I go ahead then and tie this to an event controller that detects when I've got thrust going forwards, it turns the lights on, turns them off when, I don't have thrust going forwards. Yeah. So if I stick on one more of those on this side, and then say do one bottom and top, that's going to get me a total of 4 of these big ones. And then I think if I do a 5th in the center, and then I actually kind of like that look of big one, and then I could do like 1, 2, 3, 4 little ones. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and finish putting together my thrusters. Well, fake thrusters, and then bring you back when I am done with that. So be right back. All right, welcome back. So I have gone ahead and put in 5 main thrusters, and I decided to go ahead and do sci-fi still for my pattern on the outside, but you really do need to keep that weldless for the plates, otherwise you get some funny looking patterns. The other thing that I did here is that it made sense for these things to still attract damage because, they're totally thrusters. So in here, I have my array of lights. And I also decided to stick a decoy in each corner here. So they are covered up by blocks, but that still means that if something comes back here, oh, wrong one. The correct armor block, there still will be fire directed at these, and they're not just going to be completely ignored. So, got all that. I will finish up welding that once I go ahead and, take the blunderbuss down and so on. And after putting these big 5 thrusters in, the question is, what other little thrusters do I think I could get away with? And for that, I think that if I put in 4 smaller ones, kind of in each one of these corners, I think that's probably going to max out with what I can get away with, and still, not be too busy. I do have a lot less room vertically than I do horizontally, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks here versus 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. No, I've got 4 blocks there too. Oh, this got pushed down 1 compared to that one. Alright, that's what. Well, I already put it in. I'm not bringing this down. That one can just be a little bit higher. But I think that if I go ahead and do... single light ones here. That's 1. Can I get away with another one? Nah, I think it's going to be limited to basically 1. So I want to come down 1 on this side. Alright. No, that's basically even with that, so... Alright. Alright, is that spot? Yep, there we are. Okay. It's a lot harder to do this stuff without mirroring. And then if I want to tuck in some more smaller thrusters, I can put some actual ion thrusters back here, rather than these false ones. Let's see here. And then for these ones. Actually, hang on. I can go ahead and set this back one. Make these a little bit smaller looking.
Inventory full. Inventory full.
And do that by basically taking this spot right here
full.
and making that be my light. Yeah. And that will help emphasize that, oh, these ones are smaller than these ones, because not only are they smaller in size, but they don't stick out as far either. Alright. And then, let's see here. I need to grab this, grab my weldless. And then I can still go ahead and slap some decoys in here. Nope, I need to push the decoys further back.
Inventory full. Inventory full.
The decoys would have to sit
Inventory full.
at the same level as
Inventory
the
full.
light.
Inventory full.
And you know, slight bonus, they're slightly harder to hit too. Let me cut this one out.
Inventory full. Inventory full. Energy low.
And then let me grab my sci-fi. I need to continue the weldless for this entire section. And then here, rather than doing the, what's it called? The 2x1 slopes, I use the half slope inverted. There we go. And now, the question here is, do I want these smaller ones to have the same light or a different one? And I think a different one. I think that if I come in here and I go ahead and I make these ones say red. No. Come on. And then again, we want to set the offset all the way up to 5. Intensity up to 10. Change the fall off to 2. And then here, let's go ahead and change this to 50. And 50. Let's see how that looks. Alright, so we now have blue and then a much fainter red. Do I want to push that out more? Let's try adding a few more lights to that and see what that looks like.
Inventory full. Inventory full. Inventory full. Inventory full.
Come on. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, so if I do that, yeah, I like that thruster look a lot more. Alright, so we've got 5 big blue ones, and then we'll have 4 small red ones. And I think that looks good for thrusters for this ship. There was a part of me that wanted to go ahead and have like some thrusters coming off the side pointing backwards, but I don't think that's going to work out for this. So let me go ahead and finish getting these false thrusters in, and then I will be back in just a couple minutes. Alrighty, so the thruster array is almost done. So I really like this look. And then, of course, hook this all up to an event controller so that way when I go forwards, they turn on and otherwise they are off. Or maybe what I can do is I could do, like, set the intensity. So all the settings are the same, but intensity of, like, say, 1 with the thrusters off, turning up to an intensity of 10 if the thrusters are high enough. And then, again, just to go over, I have 5 lights, and then I kept the 4 decoys around them. And, of course, stick the weldless armor right there. And once that welds up, then it'll look just like all these other ones. Yeah, perfect. So that is my false thruster array. Now let's talk about the actual thruster array. So when we come in here, we have nice, ginormous space, and I want the ship to move. So what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to start by picking up some of these lights that are going to be getting in my way. And I need to set up some arrays of, what's it called? Thrusters, such that I get thrust in every direction, but yet I don't actually damage anything. And for that, if you have build vision, I think it is. I don't remember. It's build vision or build info. One of the two is what gives you this. So I have my thruster here. And then I can go ahead and change the toggle to go ahead and show the thruster damage. There's big ones, little ones, big ones, little ones. And honestly, I like the warfare ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come on over here and I'm going to count out 4 blocks. 4. And just coat this with armor. And the reason for doing this is that, and I'm also going to make this too high. Actually, I'm going to make it 4 high. And then I need to come up to here. And effectively at this point, I could go ahead and just kind of put a wall across. Now I could go ahead and kind of tuck something in this little corner, but that doesn't really make sense to do so, I guess I should say. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So now that I've got this 4 high, I'm going to come on over here to my thruster, which, as you can see, is 4 high. And then if I put a thruster... Why can't you place the thruster there? Oh, there's a spot there. Okay. So, By placing a thruster there, and then repeating across, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I can't fit one there, so actually let's do this. 2, 3, 4.
Inventory full.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then over here, I know this is not showing up great with the visibility, but 3 and 4. Alright, now let me come on in here and toss some lighting down. That way we can see what's going on. Come on. No, not that. There we go. And then this one. Alright. There. Now that we have some lighting, we can see by placing these thrusters here like this, and with putting the what's called plating across, now I can come in here, and because I have it again 4 wide, I can now put a set of thrusters down like this. 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and again, see if I do now 1, 2 like this. Alright, so now with all these arranged like this, I now have downwards thrust, and then I have, reverse thrust here. And this thruster is not actually touching this thruster at all. The thruster damage cones are, but the thrusters themselves are perfectly fine. So then, if I come here, Shift R, alright, and you can see here that I can come up to, go ahead and toss another pair of thrusters in here. Now, if I were to come out here, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. And let me just finish putting in these blocks. Dang it, that's off.
Inventory full.
Get rid of these. I did not shift this side over far enough. That makes more sense. Then, actually, rather than doing this...
Inventory full.
Would it make more sense to do it like this, or... No, it makes more sense to do it like this. There we go. There we go. And now
Energy
I can go ahead
low.
and mimic this by placing that there. And now I have an array of thrusters. Let me grab my energy really quick. Alright. And if I do this like this, I can basically pull these out by another row. And probably also get a little bit wider, because, you know, that's there. And then I can go ahead and come up by 2 rows, and then repeat the same thing pointing the other way over here for coming back in. And this is going to make this nice big little area here that's going to be where all my thrusters can go without damaging each other. So how exactly you would want to arrange one of these things is entirely up to you. You can, of course, not fit anything right here because, you know, once you start moving, it's going to get damaged. But whether you want to have that be something that's kind of like tightly packed like this is, or you just want to go ahead and say, I could, for example, up here, I could say, all right, well, I just want, you know, side-to-side thrust in this section, and maybe some up and down, because, you know, I don't quite have enough space to do front to back here, because I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And in order to fit these thrusters, I've got 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? Actually, I probably could fit thrusters end to end and do front and back thrusters up there too. Yeah, I probably will. Alright. But yeah, so this is what I'm going to do for actual thrust on my ship. I will, of course, go ahead and finish building out all of this off screen because it's gonna take a little bit. And then we can go ahead and do a little tour of what it looks like when I am done. Let's see here. So, anything else that I wanted to do in this episode? Aside from, of course, thrusters. There's the sun. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and talk about turrets. So, as I mentioned earlier, I have arranged all of this so that way I can put some turrets down. So let's go ahead and grab those turrets. Alright, and I don't need my overlays anymore. So what my plan was is to go ahead and place a set of artillery turrets across here. And this is basically going to be for anti-large grid defense. Flying around, placing turrets down. Alright. There we go. So, I have a bunch of artillery turrets down now. And then this middle row is going to be both anti-large and anti-small grid, is assault cannon turrets. Alright, so this gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 artillery turrets, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 assault cannon turrets on each one of these quarters. Now let me go ahead and eat my spaghetti. There we go. So 14, 28. So I should have over 50 artillery turrets and a little under 40 assault cannon turrets. So I should have like 36 assault cannons, which means that actually attacking this monstrosity is going to be a nightmare for basically anything. And that should mean that I have a nice, safe home base. However, the other thing I was going to do is right over here, where I have this area, is I was going to go ahead and fill this in with some Gatling turrets. And the Gatling turrets would be dedicated anti-small grid. So that should go ahead and help this ship deal with any missiles or anything else that comes at it, while all of the artillery turrets can then go ahead and deal with anything bigger. Now, obviously with this layout, if something does come at me, I want to show my sides to it. But that part, is just a matter of getting enough gyros on this monstrosity. I'm not planning on putting any dedicated forwards-facing firepower on this. Though I might go ahead and stick some more Gatling turrets like up here or something like that. But this is basically just to keep this thing safe from anything that might approach, and then my fighters and internal ships are going to be what I'm actually trying to actively taking on targets with. So that's the general thought there. Now, if I come in here, I can swap on over to my sci-fi, and I can grab these. And then I'm gonna need to grab this and this. Let's do this. And then let's also grab this. Alright. And then for my little Gatling turrets, if I come around here like this, how do I want to do this? Actually, let's do it like this. And then I'm gonna need to go grab a few interior plates. There we go. And then I can go ahead and stick this here. And stick this here. And this is what I will go ahead and do basically on each one of these little ribs that comes down. And again, set them for basically anti-small grid, with their primary goal being to shoot down meteors, people, and fighters, or not fighters, missiles. It will, of course, shoot at other things as well. And let's just make sure that this is extra secure and just stick a little bit more heavy armor on here. There. Alright. And then let's go ahead and do this. Just fill out with a little bit of light armor back here. And do the same right here. And then, with that done, not like that. Come on. Oh, that's what happened. What is going on here? Alright, so with the Gatling turrets down, now I have this space between them. And just let that go. And I want to go ahead and fill in this space with something that's more interesting than just armor panels. And for that, let's come on in here. And I want, if I go ahead and do something like this.
Energy low.
Hang on. Nope, I don't want that one there.
Full.
Okay. So let's let that weld up really quick. And while it does that, let me go get my energy back. Okay, and where's it working? Ah, over here. With all the shiny lights. Perfect. Alright, so I have a turret, and then that is not the effect I wanted. Let's
Inventory full.
change the angles of that.
Full.
There we go, more like this. Alright, so that gives me a little bit of depth and some extra texture. And then catwalk? How would catwalk look next to that? Is that too much? I come at it from a distance. You can't really notice it. Ooh, wait. I was just doing this with other stuff. So what if I was to go like this? And then let's go ahead and change this to 220, 200, radius of 7.5, and then an offset of 2.5. How does that look? Yeah, now it's kind of like faintly lit up. I think I need to turn the radius up a little bit. That way it... Yeah, there we go. So now we get this textured effect. You can see the pipes underneath, especially if I go in and paint them like, say, a red color. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and do red. I do that. Yeah, I like that red. So we've got that black coloration. Actually, let's go ahead and grab that Retro Future green that we are using for the slopes. There we go. So the green continues around, and then we get our black with the catwalk. And then...
Inventory full.
Let's see here. I don't really like that, so let's... Yeah, sci-fi red's fine. And then... There we go. So now there's some variation in color. So coming down, we've got our green, we get a different texture, and then we can see the pipes hiding behind it, and that lighting gives us the light to be able to actually see it from a distance, rather than... Because like even out here, you can tell that there's something that's going along on that side, especially when we extend that along. What I'm going to do on these sloped areas, I'm not quite as sure about, but you know, this at least gets us a start. Yeah. Alright, so last thing that I want to do today is I want to go ahead and move some of these ships on over. Because my hangar is done. So, you know, let's park our ships in it, right? Dun, 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 dun. Well, less our hangar and more of our flight deck, but, you know. And turn. And... Oh, yeah! Look at that! That's what we're talking about. That looks like an excellent thruster section. And hopefully I can finish it before I run out of platinum. Anyways, moving on. We're going to ignore that. Alright, so the eraser. Go ahead and bring it on in here. As a ship with a Prototech jump drive on it, I kind of want it stored somewhere nice and safe. And I think... a little bit too low. Oops. I think I designed this thing poorly because it wants more than just one slot. Yeah, so I can park it. There we go. It is parked up, and apparently I did a little bit of damage. Whoops. But yeah, it's a little bit too long. Oh well, moving on. We're gonna pretend like that doesn't happen or matter. Let's come on back here without committing suicide by running into my armor. And grab this thing. Whee! Okay, I might have gone a little bit too fast there. And is there room to park this next to the Y-Wing? There we go. Yep! Saved! Woohoo! Alright, so even though that ship is a little bit too big, though admittedly if I were to cut off the extraneous tail section here, it would be just fine. And then I'm afraid that I'm going to have to go ahead and get rid of the Wyvern. You know what, let's just scrap it. Just scrap it. I have the blueprint. I don't need to keep the ship itself. And I'm not going to go back to a planet again to save, probably. So let's go ahead and grab this, turn it all pink, and have build and repair kill it. So I've got my little tug here, and then I have these assert thrusters, which I'm going to need to do something to. I'm also going to need to come in here and do build and repair, build new off. There we go. There. And now that should go ahead and scrap that without building up the projection. And as a matter of fact, if I pop in here and do projector, turn off, there we go. There. So I will leave my tiny tug over here until I figure out what I'm going to do with the assert thrusters. But I still have, you know, 2 of my ships sitting in my hangar. And that's cool. Yeah. So, what's coming up next? Off camera, I'm going to go ahead and finish putting on all of my turrets. I'm going to go ahead and repeat this all around the sides, at least until I get to the curved parts at a bare minimum. And then I'm also going to go ahead and finish up my thruster packages. Make sure that I get interior thrust in every direction. And then next time, when we come back, we will look at going ahead and making use of some of this other space to start adding in cargo. I need to go ahead and add in my reactors, because this thing is going to need a bunch of those. Hydrogen tanks, so that way I can drain all the hydrogen off the blunderbuss and onto here. You will note that replacing some of these conveyor lines, I replaced some of them with oxygen tanks, hydrogen tanks, and of course, it's most visible over here, with H2O2 generators. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm going to hide all of that. And then I'm also going to need refineries and assemblers in here somewhere. So I think what I will do is I will make like this front section here be the production area. So I'll put a bunch of refineries, assemblers, probably some cargo and stuff over here. Back here will be my thrusters, and look at also going ahead and putting in my power generation, and my jump drives. Can't forget jump drives. And then I will kind of go along these sides here and fill the sides out with cargo and hydrogen. Somewhere around here-ish will be like the central CIC. And then this big main section here will be for the larger ships. And then I will also have a little area down here. As you can see, I've got this gap. It is 5 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 blocks tall. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blocks wide. And this will be for, I'll go ahead and put like a small sub-hangar down here for things like my little mining ship, or any other like little, larger utility vessels, but still little compared to the ships that would use the main hangar. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it off. If you watched all the way to the end, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.